In a world where terror hides in the shadows and every second counts, a quiet farm becomes the unlikely battleground for a deadly confrontation. A 90-year-old blind veteran, seemingly vulnerable but forged by a lifetime of strength and discipline, faces a ruthless gang of bikers who threaten her peace. What they don't know is that beneath her calm exterior lies a strategic mind shaped by years of counter-terrorism experience. When she makes a shocking phone call, the hunt begins, a high-stakes game of precision, tactics, and survival against a dangerous extremist faction. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories reach. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss tomorrow's special video. I guarantee you won't want to miss it. Now let's jump in. The sun dipped low over the quiet expanse of a remote farm in northern Arkansas. The land stretched for miles, silent, serene, and utterly isolated. It belonged to Evelyn Hartley, a 90-year-old blind woman, a decorated veteran from a war most had forgotten. To the locals, she was just an old woman with fading stories and a cane. But Evelyn's past wasn't confined to dusty medals and folded flags. Her past was a web of classified operations, buried deep beneath layers of official denial. On this particular evening, trouble rode in. Engines roared in the distance, growing louder as a pack of bikers rolled onto her property. They weren't lost, and they weren't looking for charity. They were enforcers, a forward element of a new terror cell moving quietly through the American South. The group had been displacing locals, securing remote properties as staging grounds. They believed the farm was a soft target. They made assumptions. Evelyn sat calmly on her porch as the men circled her home, laughing, posturing, making veiled threats about property taxes and protection. She didn't flinch. She knew the tone. She could hear the loose grip of discipline in their voices. These weren't random criminals. Their cadence was off, too structured, too careful under the mockery. She'd heard that tone before. Years ago, Afghanistan, Syria, embedded operatives hiding behind civilian fronts. One of the bikers stepped forward. He was taller, leaner, a little too precise for a street thug. His boots didn't scuff like the others. His voice carried authority when he told her they'd be back in the morning. He said she'd have until sunrise to vacate the property. "You wouldn't want anything unfortunate to happen here, ma'am," he muttered with mock civility. "There are bigger interests at play." Evelyn tilted her head, tracing the sound. "I'm blind, not deaf. I know what you are. And you've misjudged me." The man smirked and mounted his bike. As the engines roared away, Evelyn tapped her cane twice against the porch. Inside her home, she reached for an old, worn rotary phone tucked inside a concealed compartment. The number she dialed wasn't in any directory. It routed through encrypted cold lines, buried in ghost networks abandoned decades ago. Except one was still active. The line clicked. A voice answered, measured and sharp. "Hartley? It's been a long time. I'm invoking cold protocol," Evelyn said, her voice steady, razor sharp. There was a pause. The weight of those words wasn't lost. "Authorization key? Delta 57, Blackbird Shadow." Another pause. Then, "Understood. Resources will be mobilized. I'll notify him." Evelyn leaned back in her chair as the line went dead. She exhaled slowly, her fingers brushing the edges of the cane, its weight, its construction, a memory of the life she'd once led. "He'll come," she whispered, "and they won't know what hit them." Don't miss the next part. You'll want to see who she called, and why this single phone call might trigger one of the most dangerous counter-terror operations on domestic soil. 2 states away, the phone buzzed in a nondescript garage cluttered with old motorcycle parts and disassembled surveillance drones. The man who answered wasn't listed on any government payroll. His name was Nathan Cole, or at least that's what he went by these days. Officially, he'd been declared Kia in Kandahar 5 years ago. Unofficially, he was still very much alive, operating in the blind spots of global intelligence grids. When the voice on the other end said Evelyn Hartley had invoked cold protocol, Nathan's eyes narrowed. She activated cold protocol? After all these years? His voice was low, tactical. Years of restraint hardened into every syllable. "Authorization confirmed. Delta 57, Blackbird Shadow." Nathan's mind calibrated instantly. That protocol wasn't a distress call. It was an operational green light. Evelyn wasn't calling for help. She was triggering an offensive counter-terrorism response. "What's the threat?" Nathan asked as he began assembling his kit, hands moving with mechanical precision. Cell activity converging in northern Arkansas. Likely logistics staging. Possibly a forward supply hub. Sigint suggests the presence of an embedded militant group using biker gangs as front operatives. Evelyn's farm is their new target. Nathan zipped his tactical bag shut. They don't know who she is, do they? No. They think she's just an old woman. Nathan smirked, a rare crack in his usual composure. Their first mistake. His mind flipped through the operational checklist. Weapons. Comms. Extraction routes. Civilian proximity. He'd need to move fast. Terror cells like these didn't linger. They fortified quickly and burned their assets before authorities could triangulate them. Upload whatever ISR you have on the group's movements in the last 48 hours, Nathan ordered, already mounting his custom Ducati built for off-grid evasion. I want drone feeds, traffic patterns, phone pings. Give me the whole spiderweb. Copy. Routing files now. Local law enforcement is not cleared. Assume political interference if you contact them directly. Nathan's expression hardened. He'd dealt with local red tape before. Some cops were honest. Others were on the payroll. And some just didn't want to know. Tell command to stay out of my way, Nathan said, gunning the bike to life. I'm going in dark. He set a hard course toward Evelyn's farm, calculating distance, fuel stops, and safe houses on the fly. His HUD lit up with drone telemetry, a rapidly tightening noose of militant activity flagged across nearby towns. The clock was ticking. If this cell was what he suspected, a sleeper unit with external command and control, they wouldn't be satisfied with a single farm. They were building something bigger. Weapons cache, explosive transit, maybe even a domestic attack node. Nathan's grip tightened on the throttle. If Evelyn had called him, it meant the stakes were terminal. Don't miss the next part. The enemy thinks they have time. Nathan Cole is about to prove them fatally wrong. The first rule in counter-terror interdiction: control the battle space before the enemy knows there is one. Nathan Cole wasn't heading straight to the farm. That's what they'd expect. Charging in, guns blazing, high visibility. Amateurs made that mistake. Nathan had no intention of giving the cell a chance to adapt. He needed to dissect their network first, identify their logistics, communication nodes, and potential safe houses. He'd strike at their arteries before they knew they were bleeding. As he burned through rural backroads, his HUD fed him real-time updates. Drone surveillance from ghost satellites flagged a cluster of biker activity converging on a warehouse 15 miles from Evelyn's property. No law enforcement presence. No civilian traffic. The perfect staging ground. Nathan routed his comms to a secured encrypted channel and keyed his throat mic, Eagle Watch. Confirm visual on warehouse sector Foxtrot 2. Visual confirmed, the operator replied. Thermal scans indicate at least 6 warm bodies, possible weapons cache. No external guards. No guards means they feel safe. That's a red flag, Nathan muttered. He peeled off the main road and ghosted his bike through an overgrown tree line, moving parallel to the warehouse perimeter. He switched to low-profile gear, a suppressed M4, short barrel, perfect for CQB. His sidearm rode comfortably against his hip. From a vantage point overlooking the warehouse, Nathan deployed a micro-drone, weaving it silently through a cracked window. The interior feed confirmed his suspicion. It wasn't just a biker gang. It was a cell with real teeth. Crates of high-grade explosives, unassembled rifles, foreign tactical vests with Arabic stenciling. These weren't street-level players. They had funding, international sourcing, and a mission. Nathan's breathing stayed calm, measured. He'd seen this playbook before. Small cells setting up transport routes, hiding behind disposable local fronts, creating buffer zones to delay federal response. But this time, they miscalculated. They thought Evelyn was a soft target. They thought America's countryside was a blind spot. Nathan tagged all visible assets on his HUD and scanned for timers, detonation triggers, or booby traps. None found. They weren't expecting visitors. Perfect. Eagle Watch, be advised. I'm initiating an impromptu audit, Nathan said, cracking the barest hint of dry humor. Copy. Do you require support? Negative. This is a solo asset denial. Nathan ghosted down the slope, breached the warehouse silently, and moved with surgical efficiency. 3 hostiles dropped before their weapons even cleared the sling. The remaining operatives scrambled, but Nathan's precision was absolute. controlled bursts, center mass, minimal noise. In under 60 seconds, the warehouse was silent. Nathan secured the intel, a hard drive with encrypted comm logs, detailed maps, and what caught his eye most, a planned rendezvous. Tonight, less than 6 hours from now, a weapons convoy inbound from out of state. His jaw tightened. They weren't just staging, they were supplying. Nathan keyed his mic, package secured. Threat suppressed. Uploading intel now. Copy. Data link established. Early analysis suggests multi-state coordination. Push those details to me. I'm going to intercept that convoy before they make this problem national. As he exfiltrated the warehouse, Nathan's mind worked the angles. This wasn't about a single farm anymore. This was a node in a wider operation. Don't miss the next part. Nathan's about to hunt the convoy, but they're expecting company, and they've set a deadly trap. Nathan Cole sped through the back roads, weaving between tree lanes and derelict infrastructure, his Ducati moving like a ghost across the rural landscape. The convoy's route had been buried in the encrypted files he'd recovered. 3 vehicles. Estimated arrival near the outskirts of a decommissioned rail yard in less than 2 hours. They weren't using public highways. They were moving off-grid, sticking to dirt paths, utility trails, and forestry roads. Smart. Hard to track, but not impossible. Nathan synced a real-time drone to his HUD, watching the convoy from 30,000 feet, their heat signatures glowing against the cool night terrain. They were armored. At least one technical with a mounted PKM, likely ex-Soviet stock. The other 2 trucks? Unmarked, but heavy suspension sag. They were loaded. Ammunition, explosives, maybe even personnel. But something else gnawed at him. The convoy was moving too cleanly. No backtracking, no decoys, no radio cross-chatter that usually accompanies real-time threat adjustments. They were too confident. Nathan patched into Eagle Watch. Confirm convoy heading. Cross-check with local RF traffic. I want to know if they're playing Ghost or if they're baiting. Copy. Scanning spectrum. Wait, we've got a spike. Sideband chatter just lit up 30 clicks south of convoy path. Encrypted, low-power burst transmissions. Nathan's eyes narrowed. South? That's nowhere near their route. What's the content? Intercepted fragments. Frequent keywords. Trap. Intercept. Detour. There it was. They knew someone was coming. Nathan's mind snapped through the possibilities. They expected a federal task force, maybe a local SWAT intercept. They didn't expect a single ghost operator. But still, they prepared an ambush. Eagle Watch. Confirm. How many thermal signatures at the rail yard? Counting, 11. 5 static. 6 mobile, weapons visible. So the rail yard wasn't just a waypoint. It was a kill zone. Good. He keyed his throat mic. I'm diverting. If they set the trap, I'm going to walk them right into it. Patch me into ISR support. Priority feed on southern ingress points. I want to control their kill box. Understood. Diverting drone assets to grid sector Echo 7. Nathan throttled the Ducati, carving a new path through an abandoned irrigation channel, riding hard across unforgiving terrain. His mind was already constructing the engagement. They'd funnel him into the rail yard, block the exits, pin him with crossfire. They'd assume he'd retreat. But Nathan wasn't here to retreat. He'd force them into committing all their tactical resources and then dismantle them piece by piece. As he approached, he cached his bike and moved on foot, surveying the rail yard. Old shipping containers provided perfect choke points. Derelict train cars offered partial cover, but no real escape lanes. The enemy had boxed themselves in, expecting to spring their trap on a predictable adversary. Nathan deployed a scatter pattern of micro-drones, quietly peppering the area with thermal decoys, pings that mimicked human heat signatures. He wasn't going to walk into their trap. He was going to set his own inside theirs. He moved swiftly, planting shaped charges on key support beams of the central loading dock. His plan was simple: collapse their own terrain on top of them. His throat mic clicked once. Eagle Watch, I'm seated and ready. Light me a path when they commit. Path plotted. Standing by. Nathan smirked, sliding his suppressed sidearm into a low-ready position. Let them spring their trap. He'd make them regret they ever came to this farm. Don't miss the next part. The ambush is about to detonate, and Nathan's strategy is about to turn the battlefield upside down. The convoy entered the rail yard precisely on schedule. Nathan watched from his elevated overwatch, hidden between rusted steel beams, his micro-drones feeding him a flawless tactical layout. The bikers, now fully geared and armed like a paramilitary unit, fanned out quickly, setting up kill zones exactly where Nathan predicted. They were fast, disciplined, and well-funded. But they weren't creative. They followed a doctrine, a script likely provided by someone offshore. And Nathan had spent his entire career erasing people who wrote those scripts. His HUD pulsed with updated thermal scans. 2 snipers positioned in the west gantry, 3 assault teams setting up crossfire lanes near the stacked containers, and a mobile quick-reaction team circling in a technical with a mounted PCAM. Textbook containment. Textbook failure. Nathan keyed his mic, voice cold and surgical. Eagle Watch. Are the decoys holding thermal integrity? Confirmed. They're fixated on false signatures. Execute Phase 1. With a flick of his thumb, Nathan remotely detonated the first set of shaped charges. The support beams beneath the loading dock collapsed with surgical precision, pancaking 2 trucks and sending debris flying in every direction. The enemy's radio chatter spiked in panic as their central rally point imploded. Nathan moved instantly, descending from his perch and slicing through the perimeter teams. Controlled shots. No wasted movement. Each hostile dropped before they could adjust their sight lines. The convoy had expected to close the noose on him. Instead, Nathan had already torn the net apart. Eagle Watch. Confirm QRF route. Nathan barked, sprinting between shipping containers. QRF is maneuvering west, attempting flanking sweep. Perfect. Nathan slid into a side alcove and lobbed an EMP grenade across their vector. The pulse hit dead center, frying the technical's comms and locking the vehicle's electronic ignition. The gunner swung frantically, trying to clear a jam that wasn't there. Nathan didn't give him time to realize it. 3 rounds. 2 center mass. 1 clean headshot. The technical stalled in place, its crew collapsing in the dirt. Hostile mobile neutralized, Nathan whispered, pivoting toward the remaining units. They were disoriented, their comms compromised, their leadership scattered. Nathan pressed the advantage, slicing through their flank, forcing them into smaller defensive pockets where they couldn't support each other. The bikers weren't fools. Some tried to regroup. Others broke for their vehicles. But their vehicles were no longer operational. Nathan had quietly disabled the fuel lines and staged remote detonation charges during his initial approach. Another detonation rippled through the yard, igniting the convoy's primary fuel truck and sending a fireball skyward. The terror cell's containment net collapsed in less than 8 minutes. But this wasn't just about tactical victory. It was about control. Nathan stormed the last remaining stronghold, a makeshift command truck, and seized their tactical maps, sat phones, and most importantly, a courier bag. Inside, detailed schedules, port entry manifests, and a clean tablet preloaded with communication logs. Eagle Watch broke in. We've decrypted part of the comms. This convoy wasn't the endgame. It was the feeder. A much larger shipment is already inbound. How large? Enough explosives to level a city block. Nathan's pulse stayed level. Location? Still parsing, but it's domestic. The battlefield quieted, but Nathan's mission had just accelerated. He wasn't just cleaning up a local cell. He was on the edge of something national, a network that went deeper, faster, and deadlier than anyone expected. Don't miss the next part. Nathan's pursuit is about to push him into a politically protected zone where local authorities might not be on his side. Nathan's Ducati roared back to life as he tore away from the burning rail yard, the courier bag secured against his back. The clock was now an enemy. Somewhere inside the files he'd seized was the next operational target, a much larger weapons transfer inbound to a location that still wasn't fully decrypted. Eagle Watch's voice crackled over the encrypted line. We've broken part of the logistics manifest. You're not going to like this. Go. The next transfer point is inside a municipal shipping hub on the edge of Dallas. Civilian port. High traffic. Heavy political oversight. Nathan's jaw tightened. Private contractors? Worse. The port's security contract was recently sold to Orion Strategic Solutions. Nathan's mind flashed cold. Orion, a corporate security firm with deep political ties, built on private intelligence contracts, and known for playing both sides of conflicts when profit aligned. They weren't a law enforcement entity. They were mercenaries with suits and paperwork. And sometimes they provided convenient blind spots for operations just like this. They'll block federal entry under security privilege. Nathan calculated aloud. If I move under official clearance, I'll get stalled until the shipment is gone. Exactly. We can't get you legal cover without triggering their lawyers. They've bought themselves enough time to shield this move. Nathan's voice cut sharp. I'm not going in under official clearance. Understood. Routing you a backdoor entry. As his HUD updated, Nathan's mind parsed the terrain. The port's southern freight line was unmanned after hours, except for perimeter drones and basic thermal sensors. Minimal human oversight. Orion's operatives would be concentrated at primary access points. Nathan would need to ghost in through the low-priority sectors. But there was more. Eagle Watch uploaded a voice file captured from a cell phone intercepted at the rail yard. Nathan played it as he rode. The old woman made the call. The ghost is moving. Let him. We'll bleed him in Dallas. Nathan's pulse slowed. The voice was familiar. Too familiar. It was Commander Youssef Dalat, a former black market logistics architect, presumed dead 3 years ago in a drone strike. Except now, he wasn't just alive. He was orchestrating this entire movement. The trap was deeper than the rail yard. Dallas wasn't just a supply node. It was another kill box. Nathan leaned into the throttle. They were expecting him. Eagle Watch, confirm. Are we tracking Dalat's signal? Negative. He's using split relays, bouncing across foreign proxies. But he's watching this play unfold. He's baiting you. Nathan's grip tightened. Then I'm going to let him watch me tear it apart. He ghosted into the Dallas perimeter hours later, evading highway surveillance using back roads and cutting power to traffic cams along his entry route. The port loomed ahead, corporate drones circling lazily overhead. Orion's patrols were visible but predictable, rotating in patterns built for security theater, not for real interdiction. Nathan infiltrated the perimeter, low and fast, slipping through cargo stacks and unmanned loading docks. His objective: locate the inbound weapons container before Orion's operatives could move it. His constraint: 0 civilian casualties, 0 official footprint. As he advanced, his HUD flagged heat signatures. Orion patrols on light rotation. But there was something else. A secondary, heavier team was waiting in an adjacent warehouse. Unmarked vehicles. Heavy weapons. Dalat's kill team. Nathan exhaled, low and controlled. They wanted him here. Good. He was going to give them exactly what they wanted, and then bury them inside their own trap. Don't miss the next part. Nathan's infiltration will turn into a brutal close-quarters chess match against corporate mercenaries in a waiting terror cell. Nathan moved through the Dallas shipping hub like vapor, slipping between steel containers and shadowed alleys where Orion's patrol routes overlapped but never fully sealed the gaps. His HUD mapped their movement in real time, microdrone relays updating every few seconds as he edged closer to the weapons shipment. The target manifest had finally decrypted. Container: VEX 7743B. Contents: military-grade plastique, foreign origin, disguised as machine parts. Scheduled extraction: 0300 hours. Nathan checked his watch. Less than 40 minutes. Eagle Watch's voice chimed through. Nathan, you're closing on the primary container, but we've confirmed secondary assets in play. Orion's mercenaries aren't just providing security. They're preparing for direct engagement. How many? At least 12 operators staged in the southwest warehouse. Heavily armed. They're waiting for you. Nathan didn't slow his pace. Let them wait. His eyes scanned the shipping hub's skyline. Orion's drone coverage was dense but lazy, pattern-based, not adaptive. Corporate security underestimated ghosts. Nathan slid through blind spots, advanced along unlit gantries, and made silent entry into the storage yard where AX 7743B was docked. But the ambush was already coiled around him. Dalat's voice pinged again through the hijacked port comms. I see you, Cole. I was hoping it would be you. Your reputation is deficient. Nathan keyed his mic without breaking stride. You should have stayed dead, Dalat. Dalat's dry chuckle echoed through the loudspeakers. You think you're hunting me? I've already won. That container isn't leaving tonight. It's rigged. Even you can't disarm it in time. Nathan's jaw flexed. He'd planned for traps, but he didn't expect Dalat to hardwire the entire container as a suicide asset. If the container moved, it would detonate. If it stayed, it would detonate on a timed sequence. Fail-safes on fail-safes. But there was a window. He slid behind a cargo stack, deploying a micro-sniffer to intercept the bomb's control signal. The detonation was slaved to a remote operator. The timer hadn't been fully armed yet. Dalat's men needed visual confirmation that Nathan was dead before finalizing the kill sequence. They wanted the legend buried here. They wanted to watch. Nathan's voice was low and steady. Eagle Watch, reroute all live drone feeds through my local channel. Blackout Orion's internal comms. Copy. You're about to be invisible to everyone but us. Nathan flicked his suppressor into place. Good. Let's introduce Dalat to an old friend. He ghosted toward the southwest warehouse, skirting the kill zone designed to funnel him into the open. Orion's mercenaries, already tight on their triggers, scanned the predictable approach lanes. But Nathan didn't come through the lanes. He came from above. He ascended a maintenance crane, dropped a precision charge on the far gantry to draw their attention, and then descended into their rear flank as they repositioned. The first two mercenaries didn't hear him coming. Controlled takedowns, clean and silent. The third spotted him just in time to catch a suppressed double tap. The warehouse exploded into chaos. Orion's team scrambled to respond, but Nathan kept moving, a ghost inside their formation, constantly shifting his angles, never giving them a static target. Within minutes, the mercenaries' defensive net collapsed. Nathan seized their command tablet, forcing an override on the bomb's remote activation system. His fingers moved rapidly, bypassing digital safeguards, locking out Dalat's kill switch. But Dalat wasn't finished. His voice cut through the comms one last time. This isn't over, Cole. You've bought yourself minutes. I've bought myself a war. Nathan didn't answer. He was already moving to the container to manually disarm the remaining failsafes. The clock was still ticking. Don't miss the next part. Nathan must race against the final countdown and survive Dalat's last desperate gambit. The interior of the shipping container was a maze of crude reinforcements and precisely arranged explosives, every inch meticulously wired to detonate at the slightest tampering. Nathan's eyes darted over the rig. This wasn't just a bomb. It was a psychological statement. Dalat wanted whoever found this to know they were playing against a mind that anticipated every countermeasure. Eagle Watch's voice cut in, tense but focused. Nathan, telemetry confirms the detonation sequence has entered hard arm. You've got 7 minutes. Standard defusal procedures won't cut it. Nathan's breathing stayed measured. He'd disarmed dirty bombs in embassy basements and cargo planes spiraling out of the sky. This was tight, but not impossible. I need a full schematic on the trigger relay system, Nathan ordered, already peeling back the access panels. This isn't an off-the-shelf device. Dalat's using a triple-loop feedback circuit to counter standard bypass. Understood. Uploading now. You're looking for a nested primary with split redundancies. Kill one and the others detonate. Nathan's eyes locked onto the key, a high-frequency receiver tucked beneath the central power junction. The failsafe wasn't digital. It was manual. A heartbeat monitor tied to a captured operator station nearby. He snapped his attention to the biometric feed. Eagle Watch, confirm. Are there any Orion hostiles still transmitting vitals inside this sector? Stand by. Negative. All local biometric trackers are down. You're in the clear. Nathan's jaw tightened. That meant Dalat wasn't using one of the corporate mercenaries. He was using a second, hidden operator. Off-grid. Manual heartbeat trigger. A final dead man switch. Nathan's mind sprinted. The heartbeat wasn't inside the port. It was external, relaying from the container's uplink. Dalat didn't trust his local assets to hold the perimeter. He'd staged the kill switch remotely. Nathan's hands moved with precision, bypassing the external uplink by severing the primary relay and rerouting the circuit through his personal override beacon, spoofing a heartbeat signal in real time. 6 minutes. The bomb's interface glitched momentarily, registering the false biometric. Eagle Watch broke in. We're seeing success on the spoofing protocol. Dalat's remote observer hasn't triggered the backup yet. Nathan's focus remained razor-sharp. He won't. He's watching the wrong screen. He continued peeling back the secondary panels, isolating the accelerometer's pins and bleeding the residual charge from the onboard capacitor. Dalat's design was brutal. Any drop in power flow, even for a microsecond, would arm the tertiary circuit. Nathan slid a portable power supply into the node, maintaining a perfect energy balance as he severed the final arming line. 5 minutes. The countdown on the primary display froze. But Nathan wasn't finished. Dalat's kind didn't build simple devices. He dug deeper, uncovering a micro-layer beneath the primary board, an optical relay with a chemical ignition backup. Even if the electronics were disabled, a chemical timer would complete the detonation sequence independently. Clever. Nathan's fingers danced, introducing a cooling agent to the chemical primer, halting the reaction at the molecular level. 30 seconds later, the system finally went dark. Dead. Complete disarm. Eagle Watch exhaled audibly on the line. Nathan, we're showing a cold read across all circuits. You just shut down a multi-layered crossfire bomb in under 7 minutes. Nathan didn't waste words. He was already packing his kit. Give me a forensic team on standby. I want every gram of this cargo cataloged. Dalat didn't risk this move unless he had more moving parts behind it. Copy. We're rerouting assets now. But Nathan already knew. Dalat's voice echoed one last time through the dormant comms. Congratulations, Ghost. You've won the battle, but the war is already moving to its next theater. Nathan's pulse didn't flinch. Then I'll see you there. Don't miss the next part. Nathan tracks Dalat's next move, but the trail leads him straight into a politically protected embassy with no legal path for engagement. The port was secured. The bomb was cold, but Nathan's mission was far from over. Eagle Watch pushed a new intel packet to his HUD as he ghosted out of the shipping yard. His Ducati roared through the outskirts of Dallas, slipping into the city's arteries unnoticed, civilian, and completely untraceable. The forensics team just decrypted the shipping logs, Eagle Watch said, voice taut. Dalat's next node is embedded inside the Averin embassy downtown. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Averin, that's sovereign ground. I can't breach it without triggering a diplomatic firestorm. Exactly, and Dalat knows it. Nathan's mind immediately calculated the stakes. Averin, a state with a long, murky history of funding proxy conflicts and shielding clandestine networks under the veil of diplomatic immunity. Their embassy wasn't just a building. It was a fortress, one that U.S. federal agencies couldn't legally penetrate. Eagle Watch, what's the embassy's security layout? High walls. Triple reinforced access gates. Internal security under direct Averin control. No jurisdiction for local or federal interference. Even a visual surveillance breach would violate diplomatic protocols. Nathan's voice cut through the comms, sharp and deliberate. Then I'm not breaching as an American. There was a long silence. You're planning a black entry. Affirmative. It was the only path forward. No legal cover. No extraction rights. Complete deniability. If things went south, Nathan would be burned, written off as a rogue operator. He was comfortable with that. He secured his bike in a neutral dead zone, swapped into black gear with minimal IR signature, and ghosted toward the embassy's blind angles. The Averin security teams patrolled predictably, 2 on foot, 1 stationary near the west entry point, another cycling between the loading dock and the motor pool. Nathan's HUD flagged the weak link, the storm drainage system feeding into the embassy's subbasement. It was a high-risk, low-profile route, but the embassy's arrogance had blinded them to infiltration from below. As he slipped through the drainage tunnel, Nathan's breathing slowed, his senses hyper-focused. His entire approach had to be flawless, silent, surgical, untraceable. Inside the embassy's substructure, he bypassed the archaic local alarms, designed for motion, not thermal variations. His micro-drones scrambled the temperature signature in a narrow corridor, effectively erasing his presence. He ascended to the restricted server room where Dalat's network terminal had been flagged. The embassy wasn't just offering sanctuary. They were actively routing Dalat's operations through diplomatic channels. Secure data, protected under international treaties, now became his next target. But as Nathan infiltrated the server room, something shifted. Dalat's voice came alive over a secured internal speaker. I see you've arrived, Cole. I told them you'd come anyway. I told them your kind never stops. Even without a flag. Nathan's hands moved rapidly, inserting a high-speed data tap to extract the server logs. You built this trap knowing I'd walk into it. Of course. But you're not here for me. You're here because you can't leave threads hanging. Dalat's voice grew sharper. You're still operational, Ghost. Even when they've erased your file. Nathan smirked. Maybe. But I don't need a file to bury you. He isolated Dalat's communication node, forcing a live trace through layered proxies. For a brief window, the signal blinked clean, a location outside of official diplomatic channels. A freight ship, departing within 2 hours. No national flag. Open sea. Nathan's voice dropped, cold and lethal. You're not in the embassy. You're running offshore. Dalat chuckled. I told you. This is a war, not a battle. And you're already late. Nathan exfiltrated the embassy with the data drive secured. Silent. Unseen. Another illegal entry that would never appear on any report. Eagle Watch, I need satellite overwatch on the cargo ship Ibrahim Star. Push me routing options. I'm intercepting at sea. Copy. This just went international. Nathan throttled his pace. The hunt wasn't over. It was about to escalate. Don't miss the next part. Nathan's next intercept will unfold in international waters, where no laws apply and no backup is coming. The sun was just beginning to rise as Nathan Cole's Ducati disappeared into the early morning haze, riding hard toward the Gulf Coast. His target was no longer on American soil. The freight ship Ibrahim Star was steaming through international waters, unmarked and untracked by conventional authorities. Eagle Watch had patched him through to a naval intelligence asset, a shadow fleet operating with a mandate to intercept but without formal jurisdiction. Nathan's plan was precise. Intercept the vessel before it reached a clandestine rendezvous point, prevent the offloading of illicit cargo, and extract any high-value targets. As Nathan approached the marina where a stealth cutter awaited, he ran through the mission parameters. No support on deck, hostile territory, limited windows for boarding, high chance of armed resistance from mercenaries and terrorists, zero margin for error, explosive cargo on board. The cutter's captain, a grizzled former Navy SEAL named Harass, nodded grimly. We're cutting the net tight, but once we board, it's all on you. Nathan's eyes were cold, focused. Understood. I'll lead the boarding team. The moment we breach, it's tactical silence. No civilians, no mistakes. They pushed out into choppy waters, the gray dawn blurring the horizon. The Ibrahim Star loomed large, a steel leviathan creeping through the waves, its black hull unmarked except for a faint ghost logo near the bow. Nathan's team deployed micro-drones to scout the deck, spotting a line of armed personnel guarding cargo holds and an armed command post near the bridge. They were prepared for boarding, but still unaware of Nathan's precise timing. Boarding in 30 seconds, Nathan whispered into his comm. With practiced precision, they fast-roped onto the vessel's aft deck under the cover of electronic jamming and infrared decoys. The moment his boots hit the deck, Nathan's instincts took over. The sound of gunfire erupted instantly, mercenaries opening up from concealed positions, their suppressors barely muting the sharp cracks. Nathan moved like a shadow, clearing the path with precise, controlled bursts. Each shot calculated to neutralize without collateral damage. Package secure, he muttered, moving toward the central hold where the explosives were stashed. But Dalat wasn't on the ship. Intel suggests Dalat fled before we arrived, Eagle Watch informed him. He's likely coordinating from a remote command center, possibly a satellite feed. Nathan's mind shifted gears. The war wasn't about capturing Dalat anymore. It was about crippling his network, destroying the supply chain before it could arm another terror cell. He rigged charges on the cargo containers, setting timers synchronized with the cutter's extraction window. As explosions rippled through the ship's hold, Nathan and his team exfiltrated under heavy fire, the vessel erupting into a controlled blaze behind them. The mission was a success, but the message was clear. Dalat was still out there, shadowing every move. And Nathan had only just started the hunt. Don't miss the next part. The battlefield moves from sea to sky as Nathan faces an aerial assault designed to end the chase. The Ibrahim Star was burning like a beacon against the dawn sky as Nathan and his extraction team sped away in the cutter. But the explosion was only the opening act. Within minutes, the serene Gulf horizon shattered with the ominous hum of approaching rotor blades. Two blacked-out helicopters emerged from low-hanging clouds, their aggressive flight patterns cutting off escape routes with surgical precision. These weren't standard military. These were bespoke attack platforms, fitted with heavy miniguns and guided missile pods. Orion's private air support, no doubt provided by Dalat's offshore backers. Nathan's HUD lit up with incoming threat vectors. Eagle Watch, threat altitude 300 feet, speed 150 knots, Vectors closing fast, he said, voice steady but focused. Tracking missile lock signatures. You have approximately 45 seconds to counter before engagement, Eagle Watch replied. Nathan's tactical mind shifted instantly into survival mode. Deploying ECM decoys and chaff. Prepare countermeasures. He pulled a sleek device from his vest, an electronic warfare emitter designed to jam infrared and radar locks. He activated it, sending out a wideband signal that scrambled targeting systems temporarily. The helicopters veered slightly, but the pilots adapted quickly, recalibrating targeting solutions. One launched a salvo of heat-seeking missiles, streaking toward Nathan's cutter like angry hornets. "Missiles inbound," shouted the cutter's pilot. Nathan dove toward the cutter's low-profile bow as explosions detonated on the waterline, sending massive geysers into the air. The ship rocked violently, systems flickering under the blast. "Damage report," Nathan barked. "Engines holding. Minor hull breach, starboard side. We're still mobile, but we can't outrun them," the pilot said grimly. Nathan assessed the options. He couldn't outrun air superiority, but he could outsmart it. "Eagle Watch, ping nearest civilian vessel traffic. We'll use the convoy as cover." "Copy that. 3 vessels within 2 nautical miles heading your way." Nathan directed the cutter into the crowded shipping lanes, weaving through a cluster of container ships and fishing boats. The helicopters hesitated. Rules of engagement, civilian risk, something even mercenaries respected. The jamming device buzzed low as Nathan prepared for the next phase. "Prepare for extraction," he ordered. Minutes later, as naval backup arrived with precision strikes from F-35s providing cover, Nathan's team boarded the waiting vessel and vanished into the sprawling harbor. The aerial threat had been neutralized, but the cost was clear. Dalat's network had deep pockets and assets from sea to sky. Nathan wiped sweat from his brow, voice grim but resolute. "This war isn't over. Not by a long shot. Don't miss the next part." Nathan closes in on Dalat's true base and uncovers a shocking betrayal within his own ranks. Back on dry land, Nathan retreated to a secure safe house, the hum of city life a stark contrast to the violence he'd just left behind. His fingers traced the edges of the courier bag, still heavy with the intel pulled from the Ibrahim Star. Data that could dismantle Dalat's entire network, if it wasn't already compromised. Eagle Watch's voice filtered in. "Nathan, we've been analyzing the intercepted communications. There's a high probability breach in your support chain." Nathan's brow furrowed. "Explain." "An insider. Someone feeding Dalat operational intel from within your own agency." The cold weight of betrayal settled in. Nathan had always trusted the silent eyes watching his back. But now, one of those eyes was watching for Dalat. He ran a silent scan of recent comms and data transfers. Patterns emerged, encrypted messages hidden inside innocuous transmissions, flagged personnel movements deviating from protocol. "Nathan, we've isolated a probable double agent, Agent Clark. Field operative, logistics liaison. Confirmed contact with Dalat operatives over the past 6 months." Nathan's voice turned icy. "I want a full dossier, and I want him shadowed." A flicker of dry humor crossed his lips. "Guess the ghosts don't just haunt the enemy." That night, Nathan moved through the city's shadows, trailing Clark with surgical precision. The agent was meeting a contact at an abandoned warehouse near the docks, a rendezvous point, likely where Dalat's network consolidated its local resources. Nathan's eyes adjusted to the low light as Clark exchanged a small data drive for a thick envelope. Words were sparse, but the message was clear. Betrayal was now personal. Without hesitation, Nathan struck. A quick, silent takedown behind the warehouse, subduing Clark before he could trigger any alarms. "Why?" Nathan demanded, pressing the barrel of his suppressed pistol to Clark's temple. Clark's voice was resigned. "You don't get it. Dalat's not just a terrorist. He's an asset to the right people. People who want chaos to cover their agendas." Nathan's mind raced. This wasn't just counter-terrorism. It was a geopolitical chess match with pawns in the shadows. "Who are they?" Nathan pressed. Clark smiled bitterly. "You'd never believe me if I told you." Nathan's eyes hardened. "Try me." Before Clark could answer, a sharp noise cut through the night, a silenced shot from the darkness. Clark slumped, eyes wide. Nathan whirled, but the shooter had vanished. The message was clear. Dalat's reach was deeper, deadlier, and closer than Nathan had imagined. Don't miss the next part. Nathan must now navigate a web of deceit, where friend and foe blur, and the next move could cost him everything. The warehouse emptied of Clark's lifeless body. Nathan felt the cold sting of betrayal settle in deeper than ever. This wasn't just an insurgency. It was a spider's web spun across agencies, nations, and shadows. Every move he made risked walking into an ambush not just of firepower, but of misinformation and deception. His HUD buzzed. Eagle Watch had uploaded fresh intel from the forensic analysis of the data drives seized from the Ibrahim Star and Clark's last drop. A list of safe houses, encrypted bank accounts, and names of high-ranking individuals with suspicious ties to Dalat's network. One name flickered and froze on the screen: Commander Alicia Voss. Nathan's mind raced. Voss was a respected intelligence officer, a mentor, even trusted friend. But the intel painted her as a key player in the deep cover operation supporting Dalat. Nathan's throat tightened. This was no accident. This was a mole at the very core of his command structure. He initiated a secure channel. Eagle Watch, prepare a surveillance team. I want eyes on Voss. Quiet. No alarms. Confirmed. But be advised, she's highly skilled. Unlikely to be caught off guard. Nathan exhaled, voice grim but steady. Neither am I. He arranged a meeting at an abandoned safe house outside the city, planning to confront Voss in person. This was no longer about tactics or gunfire. It was chess played with human pieces. As night cloaked the city, Nathan moved stealthily, every sense primed. When Voss arrived, calm and composed, Nathan didn't hesitate. Why? He asked, voice low and sharp. Voss's eyes were cold, calculating. Because some wars aren't meant to be won on battlefields. They're won by letting the pieces fall into place. Nathan's jaw clenched. You're playing a game that costs innocent lives. Sometimes, Voss admitted, the collateral is the price of greater strategy. Dalat is a tool. And so are you. Nathan's hand twitched near his sidearm. Then I'm here to cut the strings. Their standoff was tense. A battle of wills as much as one of guns. Before either could make a move, a sudden blast shattered the safe house's exterior. Gunfire erupted as Dalat's mercenaries stormed the perimeter. Nathan's eyes snapped to Voss. Your play ended early. Voss smirked, pulling a compact pistol. Not yet. Bullets flew. Nathan dove for cover, returning fire with clinical precision. Amid the chaos, he realized the real game had just begun. A high-stakes fight where every ally might be a foe and every decision meant survival or death. Don't miss the next part. The final pieces move into place as Nathan faces Dalat, and the true scope of the conspiracy is revealed. The firefight tore through the abandoned safe house with brutal intensity. Nathan's movements were sharp and efficient, each shot calculated to suppress and disorient the attackers. Every breath, every flicker of muscle was honed by years of operations where hesitation meant death. Voss, firing from a second-floor window, was no less lethal. Her shots weren't meant to kill but to buy time, to stall the inevitable. Dalat's plan, she shouted over the roar of gunfire, voice icy and unwavering, is bigger than you think. He's not just moving explosives. He's setting the stage for a political collapse that will change everything. Nathan ducked behind a steel support beam as bullets chipped concrete nearby. His voice, low but urgent, cut through the chaos. I'm ending this tonight. No more pawns. Then the building shook violently as a well-placed explosive detonated the corner of the structure. The attackers faltered, stunned by the sudden breach, giving Nathan the opening he needed. He sprinted toward the stairwell, each step a blur, adrenaline sharpening his focus to a razor's edge. At the top, the standoff crystallized, two warriors locked in a silent war of wills. Voss's eyes burned with icy conviction as she pulled a hidden blade from her belt, poised to strike. Nathan was faster. With a swift, practiced motion, he disarmed her and forced her against the wall. His grip was iron, voice barely a whisper but deadly serious. Where is Dalat? Voss's gaze flickered, conflicted but resolute. On a private airstrip. An hour east. Final extraction point. The weight of her words settled heavily on Nathan. The war wasn't over, not by a long shot. But the final phase was within reach. He cuffed Voss silently, securing her hands behind her back. His calm crackled as Eagle Watch's voice returned. Prepare for a full tactical assault on the airstrip. Nathan's voice was hard. No room for debate. I'm going in alone. Backup won't arrive in time. The tension was palpable. Eagle Watch warned of the risks, but Nathan's experience left no doubt. Speed and precision were his only allies now. Minutes later, under the cover of darkness, Nathan crept toward the dimly lit airstrip. Shadows danced between hangars and refueling stations, his HUD highlighting enemy patrols with ghostly outlines. Dalat's mercenaries were alert, but the hum of jet engines indicated urgent preparations for departure. Nathan moved like a shadow through the perimeter, silent and deadly. Guards fell one by one, suppressed shots exact and clean. The private jet gleamed under floodlights, its engines purring, waiting. Inside the hangar, Dalat stood calm, almost amused, as if this confrontation was a long-anticipated performance. "You made it," Dalat said smoothly, eyes cold and calculating. "But you're too late." Nathan leveled his weapon, voice unwavering. "It's over." Dalat shook his head slowly, a dark smile playing on his lips. "You think this ends with me? No, Cole. This war has only just begun." The final confrontation erupted, a brutal, high-stakes duel blending close-quarters combat and tactical mastery. Every move was a calculated gambit. Nathan's precision and discipline clashed against Dalat's ruthless cunning and unpredictable strikes. In the end, only one would walk away. Don't miss the next part. The battle reaches its climax, and Nathan's true legacy is revealed. The hangar echoed with the metallic clang of their clash, every movement a calculated strike or desperate counter. Nathan Cole and Yusef Dalat were locked in a brutal, unrelenting duel, a battle of skill, will, and survival. Years of training fused with raw instinct as they exchanged blows that could kill, each testing the other's limits. Dalat ducked low to avoid a rapid jab and unleashed a savage elbow aimed at Nathan's ribs. Nathan twisted, absorbing the impact, and countered with a devastating uppercut that staggered Dalat. The tension in the air was palpable, two lethal operators facing off in a no-win scenario. "You think you can stop this?" Dalat hissed, shoving Nathan hard against a cold steel support beam. His voice was low, venomous. "You're nothing but a ghost chasing shadows. You're too late." Nathan's gaze hardened, his voice steady but cold. "I'm the nightmare you never saw coming." They grappled, the fight descending into close quarters, fists smashing, arms locking, the fight raw and primal. Dalat pulled a concealed combat knife, flashing it in a desperate swipe that sliced Nathan's forearm. Pain blossomed, but Nathan's focus sharpened. Every second counted. With a ruthless wrist lock, Nathan disarmed Dalat, the knife clattering on the concrete floor. He followed with a swift knee to Dalat's abdomen, winding him. Now in control, Nathan reached into his tactical vest, retrieving handcuffs. "End of the line," he muttered. Dalat sneered but said nothing, his defiance extinguished in the moment. Nathan cuffed him securely, mindful of the mission's stakes. The mercenary network was crippled, the bomb plot stopped, and Dalat captured, but Nathan knew better than to celebrate too soon. Eagle Watch, target secured. Extraction team inbound, came the calm voice through his calm. As the helicopter's rotors thundered overhead, Nathan lifted Dalat onto the extraction vehicle. Blood trickled down Nathan's forearm, a grim reminder of how close the margin had been. Yet the weight of victory was tempered by an acute awareness that this was only one battle in a far larger war. He looked down at Dalat, shackled and silent, and whispered, "This is only the beginning." The Shadow War wasn't over. The networks would adapt, regroup, and resurface in new forms. But Nathan's resolve remained ironclad, to hunt the shadows relentlessly, to dismantle terror wherever it lurked. As the helicopter lifted off into the dawn sky, Nathan faded into the background, a ghost among ghosts, ready for the next threat. Don't miss the final part. Nathan returns to the shadows, and a new enemy emerges from the darkness. The helicopter's thunderous roar faded into the vast morning sky as Nathan Cole gazed down at the sprawling cityscape beneath him, a labyrinth of streets, rooftops, and alleys that whispered secrets only a few could hear. The arrest of Dalat and the disruption of his terror network marked a critical victory, but Nathan knew better than anyone. This was a single clash in an unending war. The deeper he delved, the clearer it became. The fight was far from over. Back at the safe house, Nathan moved with methodical precision. Every piece of his tactical gear was stripped away and stowed, each scar and abrasion a reminder of battles fought and survived. His mind raced, already dissecting reams of intercepted intelligence, analyzing patterns, and calculating the next possible threats that might arise from the void left by Dalat's fall. The nature of modern warfare had shifted. Traditional battle lines were now obsolete. Instead, the fight was waged in shadows, through encrypted communications, sleeper cells, and covert operatives embedded in government corridors and corporate towers. Nathan was no longer just a soldier in the field. He was a sentinel, a ghost guarding an invisible front line. His encrypted phone buzzed quietly on the table. A new message blinked to life on the screen, new directive incoming. Priority, level Omega. The code was unmistakable, an escalation, an urgent mission requiring every ounce of his expertise and resolve. A thin smile crossed Nathan's lips. The war was evolving, the enemy adapting, but so was he. As always, he was ready. He stepped out into the pre-dawn streets, merging seamlessly with the city's waking rhythm. The world outside bustled with oblivious normalcy, unaware of the invisible war waged to keep it safe. For the public, Nathan was nothing but a ghost, an untraceable force moving through the shadows, a silent guardian watching over chaos. Yet somewhere, in the unseen corners of the globe, new threats stirred, waiting for their moment to erupt. Nathan vanished into the dawn, the shadows swallowing him whole once more. The mission never ended. It only changed shape. This is not the end. Stay vigilant. The shadows are always moving. Thank you for following this story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share your thoughts below. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more immersive tactical stories.